Hello, everybody, and welcome to the fourth of our social sciences coffee breaks. Uh, every Tuesday at 2:30, we'll be here. Every Tuesday at 12:30 precisely, we will be here. I will be joined. My name is Paul Rombo, Learn Consultant for Social Sciences. I will be joined with my wonderful colleague, Stacy Allen, and she will present an elementary resource, and I will present a secondary level resource. After our sort of 9-10 minutes of presentation, then you can ask questions. Then you can share, if you want, a resource that you found for social sciences. And we're ending at one maximum. Drop in anytime. So let's get started. We'll start with Stacy. Good morning, Stacy.
So hi everyone, and thank you for joining for another coffee chat. My name is Stacy Allen, and I am a pedagogical consultant at Learn. And part of my dossier includes working with the RÉCIT as a consultant for the Anglophone community here in Quebec. So today I'm going to present to you some escape rooms. These were done for elementary cycle 3 students, so students in grade 5 and grade 6. And they are just an amazing way to review social science concepts in a bit of a gamified way that really encourages students to build their critical thinking skills in a new way. So these escape rooms were created using Google Sites and Google Forms. So I'm going to show you now how to navigate to those on our Societies and Territories website. So I'm going to get out of our presentation. I'm going to hop over to the main page of Societies and Territories. So as always, you'll notice that we have this top bar on our website where you can navigate to different sections of the site that are based on the competencies of the Geography, History, and Citizenship program. So I'm going to draw your attention today to the Teachers menu. And I'm going to click on the drop-down page for Resources by Type. Now, this is a wonderful way to search our site if you're looking for resources like competency placemats, for example, that are relevant or could be pertaining to multiple societies over time and be used in multiple different ways. Or if you're looking for, of course, a specific type of resource like I am today, I'm looking for only our escape room resources. So I'm going to scroll down, and on the second row here, I have my section for escape rooms. And you'll notice that we have 2 escape rooms, like I may have previously mentioned, one for Quebec 1905 and one for 1980. So I'm going to open up the Google Forms activity so you can see a bit of what you would present to students. So you could share this to students via a QR code or a direct link or a hyperlink. So here you have a little bit of a description of the scenario. So you're traveled back in time and you need to get all the keys to build your time machine. And then here, students are presented with different documents, some of them being visual, some are more written documents. And in this case, they need to read the document and then locate the province of Quebec on the map below. So, oh, my answer is already remembered from when I was testing it. So the answer would be D. Great. I've answered the question successfully, and then I get a next key. Then I'm presented with another document. And again, then I have to answer questions related to that document. You'll notice that this activity is always, as always, most of our activities are accompanied with a teacher's guide that breaks down how you might share the activity, how you can customize the activity with different questions and documents, as well as an answer key. Okay. I'm going to go back to the main page. You'll notice the escape room for 1980 is very similar. However, this one is integrated or embedded into a website. So in this case, it's a bit of a different structure. You'll notice there is an image and students have to look for clues in the corkboard image. So if they click on certain sections of the image, for example, they'll be transported to documents related to different aspects of Quebec society. And again, then they have to use the documents to get a clue which they answer or input into the Google form below in order to answer or escape the escape room. So if ever you want to, sorry, I'm navigating between my tabs here, but if ever you want to go back and create your own escape room, because perhaps you are exploring a different society and territory in the program that we currently do not have an escape room for, well, I really recommend you checking out this guide by Ditch the Textbook. This is a wonderful resource with a lot of different tech tools and templates for students and teachers. So if you click here on the Get the Template button, you will find an organizer that you can use that's really helpful if you want to build your own escape rooms with Google Forms or with another tool like Canva Code or Ginoly, maybe perhaps. So thank you and for listening. And that is my social science resource for today. I pass it on to you, Paul.
Hi, everybody. So my share is going to be a game. Actually, I'm going to show a whole section on game-based learning. And let's see, what are we talking about here? We're talking about game-based learning strategies, but also the tools and the cards and the boards that come with them. I'm also going to show you and actually mention that there is a section on how to make a game where you could use the similar tools, similar cards. They're often Google Slides or Google Drawings where students can make their own games. Teachers could make their own too, but it was originally designed with that in mind, most of our games. But today I'm going to show you a specific game called the discussion game and maybe mention others, and I'm hoping you'll share some as well. Um, why? Engaging students in critical thinking, collaboration, reasoning, social skills. All these things happen during a game, but it's more authentic. It's a game-based learning experience that students enjoy. It's motivating. Um, these ones I'm going to show you are for secondary students, but really any students can play games, obviously, elementary and secondary students. And the hook is also the students as players if you want to use them in your class for a review, but also if they want to make a game, it's an excellent way to review as well. Or to learn new content. So where it is, I'm going to show you the games page on the secondary history site, secondary 3-4 history site. There's actually an equivalent page on the Societies and Territories site where we made our first games, and that's worth checking out as well. So this one, I'm going to take you to a section of the history site. And if you look in the teachers section, it's sort of buried here, but you can search games. It's just starting out this page, but I've managed to put a few up. I want to highlight the historical discussion game, but mention also that there is a how to make a game page, and there are a bunch of different graphic organizers there for design thinking, empathizing, starting who's the game for, what kind of things they like, designing a prototype, testing it, redoing it. There are available games embedded in various activities, including one in World War I. There's one for the Quiet Revolution timeline game used in Responsible Government Confederation as well. And so I'm going to show you this one here. It jumps to a page on the Learn main site actually, and so if you search games, it's there. If you search discussion, it's there. It's actually a page. The resource link will get you back to this page anyway. So basically, it's got instructions on how to use the game, how to do the game, and the game rules are in this original page. Now, this game was designed by the RÉCIT and Univers Social, so there are French equivalents to this game. And basically, what it is it's their students draw 5 cards, and they have to get rid of their cards. The way they do this is by stating out loud a fact that relates to the card. So the cards, I'll show you what they look like down here. Basically, you could have a cultural card, so they have to talk about the culture. These are the backs of the cards. Political, economic, social, the aspect cards. But there are others, for example, like similarity and difference, cause and consequence, and so on. So the instructions are in the game on how do students would use these cards, but basically they have to get rid of their card by telling something's true about their content. Now, there's another way to play it. If you can use it as a review, but there are actually some slide decks that the RÉCIT Social originally produced. I've translated 4 of theirs. Actually, no, I translated 5 of theirs because I wanted to show you that we have a new one on contemporary world interference in Afghanistan that I translated just this morning. And basically, this has several topics that are found within this activity that they would have done about this topic, and then they can discuss it afterwards. So the topics are things like state sovereignty, international organizations, the causes of interference, the consequences of interference, and different media elements of the media coverage. And at the end, there's actually a suggested things they could say, where the things that they could discuss as examples. Again, that activity was just translated and it's available here. It looks like this. It's a usual type of activity where you read over documents and you work with causes and consequences, and you write about those documents in a table, and you can see that there's several pages of documents for students to go over for this new learning activity. But again, what I wanted to focus on was the historical discussion game. And I also wanted to mention that our version now, there's the ones in the original version in the document, but there's also Google Slide versions. The way these would work, you'd print each one and you'd fold them in half. It explains how to do it. And the reason why I did these is because I was developing other cards called concept cards for various activities that I'd done, and I wanted to have a format to include concepts as well that they could discuss. Imperialism, neoliberalism, and so on. So there's some examples of conquest cards here, but this is actually the full game. So you've got the cards, change your turn, change direction, things like that, typical in a game. Pass your turn. There you go. So that's the historical discussion game. That's my share for today. And thanks a lot. Oh, and yes, I know people would like to share possibly. So if you'd like to share a game or an idea.
The one I'm going to share in a moment is called Democracy Freeze by a company called Positech. They've made a whole line of them. The more modern one is called Democracy 4, but I have a class set for 3, which is why I'll show you, and it works just as well. The reason, and then it'll be clear when I show it in a moment, that the reason I use this game is because I put a major emphasis on understanding political ideology in contemporary world before we move on to other topics. So I want to make sure that these kids understand left versus right wing. I apologize, I am in a school, so hence you might hear that bell. No? Hey, good headphones. Okay, so, but you will hear, we will discuss left versus, their ideology, political and economics. And I want the kids to understand statehood and how states are created, how they interact, etc. So I use this game at the end of that module, basically as a way of letting the kids have a breather, but at the same time doing an activity that reinforces what they've learned. And I'll share it now and show you what it looks like. So the game first. All right. So hopefully you're seeing the game here.
Yes, we are.
And in essence, you basically just pick a country from a long list and you set up how it'll operate, how many terms in essence, what the game is that you've been elected leader and you need to be re-elected leader at the end of your term. And you are re-elected leader by massaging policies and creating new policies to impact the electorate. And just to give you a brief idea of what this looks like before I show you what I do with it pedagogically, you get a little report at the beginning of every quarter of the year. I set mine up so that they play 4 years, 4 quarters, therefore 16 quarters before the game is over. And these are the interest groups that you are trying to impact one way or the other. And you do it by massaging, let's say, policies. So for argument's sake, this policy under public service is private healthcare. And you see that the state health service under public services. You see that if I were to, for argument's sake, put more money or less money into state healthcare, I'll just get out of here. Depending on how I modify this, I will have a positive or negative impact on various interest groups. So for instance, if I put more money into state health service, I will make the socialists happier. If I put more money into the state health service, I will make the capitalists less happy. So the red and the green are not good or bad per se. They're positive or negative, because I could put more money into healthcare and, cases of cancer can decrease. That will be a red line, but it's obviously a positive impact. So that's how the kids are taught to view this. And in essence, what you do, and there's other parts of the game that we won't get into too much detail, but I have my students play with the policies to try to impact interest groups in order to raise my popularity and be reelected. Now, that's the game itself. I give the kids a couple of days just to play with it, to familiarize themselves. And then what they have to do is they have to play it what I call on the record. And on the record means they're going to record their decision making. So let me give you an example of that. Sorry, as I duck out of here. Let's see if I can just duck out easily. There we go. So, oh, sorry about that. Let me share that again. There we go. All right. This is the activity sheet I give the kids. So it basically explains how they're going to set up the game and what, conditions I want them to set up. So it explains a bit of everything I've just discussed. It talks about political capital and how some decisions are more difficult to do than others. You have to gain political capital, but this is the nuts and bolts. The real work comes here. Every decision the student makes along the way, and there's a minimum number of decisions they have to make every year. Every decision they make, they have to record. They have to tell me what they did, who they were targeting, what interest group. And the key thing for me is whether or not the decision was a left or right-leaning decision. So that when they're all done and they've played 16 turns of this, and they've either done this digitally, or sometimes I print out a bunch of these sheets and they fill them in and they hand them in to me, I will skim through the record of their decisions. And if, for argument's sake, I come across a decision as I'm skimming that says they increased the availability of abortion clinics in order to make the Catholic right happy, I know that somewhere along the way there's been a misunderstanding. And that gives me an opportunity to pull them aside and say, I don't think you quite understand the relationship between the ideological scale and some of the main issues. When all is said and done, they also fill in this sheet here, which is basically just a cover page for the report, all those decision sheets. And I asked them, what was your strategy for victory? What were your 3 best policies? What were your 3 worst policies? Your final thoughts on what frustrated you, what didn't frustrate you. And then I asked them for fun whether they were successfully reelected, though that has no impact on the game whatsoever. And really my only condition to the game, my only condition is that if they don't get to their 4th year, they have to start over, because you can be assassinated in the game. So if you don't play the game seriously and you bend over backwards to basically offend all these interest groups, there is the risk of being assassinated. And I tell the kids, if you are assassinated prior to your 4th year, you have to start over, because I haven't gotten enough pedagogical material to really evaluate them on. And I've had a lot of success with this. The kids very much get into this game. There's a lot of frustration, but it's good frustration, right? They bend over backwards to make a particular interest group happy, and they don't get to first base. And you can see them jawing with each other about what policies they can massage to reach someone. And all the while they're recording things, and that gives me, feedback about what they do and don't understand. The downside to this is that it does cost money. You can buy a class license. The class license for Democracy 3 is significantly cheaper than 4 because it's the older version of the game. But I continue to get mileage out of that version and see no need to upgrade yet. It's available on iPads and it's available on laptops, not Chromebooks to my knowledge. But like I said, I've done this now, well, I'm in a consultancy role now, but prior to that, I did it for a decade in contemporary world. I've passed it off to teachers around the school board. They're having fun with it. And it's just a great way to end a module with something that seems like fun and yet is reinforcing the learning.